First off, hello, and thank you for clicking on the video. Now, if you will please stick around for a few moments, I'd like to take us on a trip together. What does Subnautica mean to you? What do you enjoy about it? What keeps bringing you back? Now that Subnautica 2 is only days away from release, I thought it would be a good opportunity to look back on what made the original game so beloved by fans all around the world. So please join me as we take the plunge and make one last dive into the depths of 4546B. Subnautica came to early access in December 2014 and soon gained popularity with streamers and other YouTubers. At the time, though, I had no idea that such a game was blowing up. The first time I learned of Subnautica was when I came across my younger brother watching a playthrough of it on YouTube. It showed the player character swimming in a giant underwater area, which I now recognize to be the Sea Emperor enclosure. I had no idea what this game was, but it looked interesting, so I asked him about it, and thusly he told me about how it was a game where you crash landed on an ocean planet and you were the sole survivor. And that was my first introduction to Subnautica. After that, though, I pretty much discarded the game from my mind. Sure, it looked cool and was no doubt a fun game. The only problem was I didn't have access to it. It was only available via PC and Xbox. Meanwhile, the consoles we had were PlayStation and Nintendo. Now, sure, I could have just watched a YouTuber like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye play it, but I was never really that big on watching Let's Plays. In fact, growing up, the only gaming channel I watched was FGTV. Over the next couple of years, I encountered Subnautica again once or twice, becoming more aware of it. I subscribe to a channel called Nerd Out, which makes fan songs for stuff like movies and video games. Now, I remember when they released their Subnautica song, Diving In Too Deep, and I remember how much it really made me wish I could play Subnautica. Turns out I was in luck because a PlayStation port wasn't too far off, and towards the latter half of the next year, I was finally able to pick up a copy. At the end of the day, Subnautica is a survival game like any other. Yet I've played other similar titles, such as Minecraft, Ark Survival Evolved, and Palworld. Yet none of these games recreate the sensation of the game that Unknown Worlds created. I feel like that's due in part to the game having a unique setting that takes place almost entirely underwater, and that tasks you with traversing deeper and deeper in order to survive, but also because they created such a vibrant world populated with wondrous and deadly creatures. They made a game that was simultaneously beautiful and terrifying, had you fawning over the cuttlefish one moment, and then the next, soiling your pants when you get your first hug from a Reaper Leviathan. It didn't take me long to fall in love with this game. I became enthralled at the prospect of discovering new biomes and creatures, while at the same time being terrified of leaving the protection of the safe shallows. I remember being scared of the bellows from the reefbacks, getting a heart attack whenever I heard the growling of a crashfish before it started charging at me, or when I froze up the first time I saw a reaper off in the distance. The warpers were different. It was bad enough dealing with all the hostile wildlife and leviathans that wanted to eat me, let alone alien sentinels that hunt down everything that is infected with the Kara. I was afraid to go anywhere near the warpers, terrified that they would teleport me to them and kill me. Speaking of the warpers, there was an incident in the early game that freaked me out. It was the first time the Sea Emperor contacted me, when she reaches into your head and talks to you telepathically. Anyway, I was in my base the first time this happened. I had just gotten out of bed, when suddenly my screen was engulfed in lights and colors. Now, as someone who had never played the game before and wasn't too familiar with the Sea Emperor, this freaked me out a little. At the moment, I had thought the warpers had gotten me, that they'd reached up from the depths and plucked me from my base. And while I've come to expect it in future playthroughs, the first time left me in a panic. When it came to my base in the first playthrough, I didn't stray too far from the starting area, setting it up in one of the nearby creepvine forests, while in later playthroughs, I would set up bases in places such as under the floating island or in the grassy plateaus that bordered the western mushroom forests. In my most recent playthrough, I actually have multiple bases set up, one in the bulb zone, one in the jelly shroom caves, and one in the dunes. I'm always blown away at all the incredible biomes the game is filled with. There's the safe shallows, with colorful fish and corals, and where the most you usually need to worry about is the crash fish. And the jelly shroom caves, filled with the glowing mushrooms and the cute little oculus. Then there's the deep grand reef in all its haunting beauty, with the glowing pods and the sea treader's path. And then, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have absolutely horrific biomes, like the blood kelp zones, with those creepy vines and scary music, or the floating underwater islands, where you're exposed on all sides with a black abyss underneath you. One of my favorite biomes are the mushroom forests, specifically the western one bordering the dunes. I've heard people say that they think the mushroom forests are scary, but to me they're anything but. Aside from just being beautiful, I also find them to be serene and calm, with normally no predators around to worry about. When it comes to the creatures, people are always talking about the Reaper Leviathan, or Cuttlefish, or the Hoverfish, and for good reason. One of my favorite creatures in the game is actually the Peeper. Now, that may seem like an obvious choice for a favorite, as it's one of the most well-known fish and is literally an icon of the series. Despite that, I just find it to be such a likable fish, with the way it swims and all the little chirps and squeaks it makes. I even bought a Peeper plush off Amazon, which I have hanging around my room. Anyway, after finishing Subnautica, I was blown away and wanted more. You hear people say that they wish they could forget everything about it and play it for the first time again, and I get what they mean. No replay of the game has ever been the same, because I already knew what the game held. the sense of discovery was gone. So, I was thrilled when Below Zero came out on the PlayStation, as I now had more of this scary and beautiful ocean world of 4546B that I could explore. But just like with the base game, I soon saw all this new game had to offer and was once again left wanting more. I even started imagining my own take on this world. I started work on my own fan story, where the Kara started infecting human worlds, just like we're seeing happen in Subnautica 2. Only in my story, they go back to 4546B to try and get the enzyme from the Sea Emperor Leviathan hatchlings in the hopes of curing the Kara. But things go wrong, and they get stranded deep, and I mean deep underwater, and they now must survive these dark depths, all while trying to find the cure and save humanity. I had several ideas for this story. There would have been multiple new biomes, such as what I imagined to be a deep underwater version of the kelp forests that glowed all purple and was home to dangerous predators that lurked within. I also imagined an underground cave system with air and animals and plants, with a special light source up above to provide illumination. And this was where I imagined the survivors of the expedition would set up base. I never really got around to coming up with any original Leviathans, but I did come up with a couple peeper variants. The first I called the Deeper, which was just a deep sea peeper, which was colored light gray with pale eyes. I even imagined a hostile kind of peeper that would attack the player, which I called a creeper. Aside from all that, I had an idea about Altera sabotaging the expedition so that they could get to the cure first and monetize it. I also thought about the idea of an ancient sea emperor that was corrupted by the Kara and was hostile to the player. The whole reason I started working on this story was that I wanted more Subnautica. And then Unknown Worlds started working on Subnautica 2, which is great, as that is exactly what I wanted. To be able to explore a brand new ocean with new biomes, creatures, and mysteries. And the best part is, I'll actually be able to partake in the fun this time. Because unlike with the first two games, I have an Xbox now, which is one of the platforms Subnautica 2 is releasing into early access on. I'm super excited that I'll be able to play this new game alongside everyone else, and won't have to wait for a PlayStation release. So, we are getting to the end here, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who took the time to listen to me talk about this amazing game. And to Subnautica, thank you for giving me and so many others such amazing memories in the depths of 4546B. And even as we look ahead to your successor, and to all the new memories we'll make in this new ocean, know that you will never be forgotten. We will always cherish what you mean to all of us. This isn't goodbye. It's see you later. And I'm sure that in time we will meet again and dive once more into your waters. And so, for one last time, thank you, Subnautica, for everything.
What is a wave without the ocean? A beginning without an end. They are different, but they go together. Now you go among the stars, and I fall among the sand. We are different, but we go together.